Sharon Durkin, District 8, For the record, my name is Sharon Durkin, District 8 City Councilor, and I'm the chair of the Boston City Council Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation. Today is August 12, 2024. This hearing is being recorded. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, and FiOS Channel 964. Written comments may be sent to the committee email at ccc.plandev@boston.gov and will be made part of the record and available to all counselors. Public testimony will be taken at the end of the hearing. Individuals may be called in order in which they've signed up, and we will have 2 minutes to testify. If you are interested in testifying in person, please add your name to the sign-up sheet near the entrance of the chamber. If you are looking to testify virtually, please email our central staff liaison, Cora Montron, and that's cora.montrond@boston.gov for the link, and your name will be added to the list. Today's hearing is on docket, and I'm going to read all of the dockets in order, so bear with me. Docket 0107, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Peter Sanborn as a member of the South End Landmarks District Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2025. Docket 0110, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Nancy Russell as a member of the St. Botolph Architectural Commission for a term expiring November 10th, 2026. Docket 0111, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Jim Cutchin as a member of the St. Botolph Architectural Commission for a term expiring November 10th, 2026. Docket number 0112, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Douglas Miller as a member of the St. Botolph Architectural Commission for a term expiring November 10th, 2026. Docket 0636, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Paul Raber Uffendor II as an alternate member of the Four Point Channel Landmark District Commission for a term expiring March 19th, 2027. Docket 0640, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Angela Ward Hyatt as a member of the Highland Park Architectural Conservation Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2025. Docket 0461, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Shemaya Turner as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeal for a term expiring May 1st, 2026. Docket 0698, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Kevin Reddy as a member of the South End Landmarks Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2025. Docket 0864, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Alam Mukhal as an alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term expiring May 1st, 2027. Docket 0865, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Carrie Walsh-Logue as an alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term expiring November 1st, 2025. Docket 0866, message in order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Hansi Better-Baranza as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeal for a term expiring May 1st, 2027. Docket 0867, message in order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Sherry Dong as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeal for a term expiring May 1st, 2026. Docket 1179, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Jamie McNeil as a member of the Zoning Commission for a term expiring May 1, 2025. These matters were sponsored by Mayor Michelle Wu. Dockets 0107 and 0110 to 0112 were referred to the committee on November 15th, 2023. Dockets number 0640 and through 0641 were referred to the committee on April 3rd, 2024. Docket 0698 was referred to the committee on April 10th, 2024, and dockets 0864 through 0866 were referred to the committee on May 22nd, 2024, and dockets 1179 were referred to the committee on August 7th, 2024. Today I'm joined by my colleagues in order of arrival: Councilor Ed Flynn, Councilor Coletta Zapata, Council President Ruth C. Louise Jen. I think that's it for now. I would now like to turn it over to Joe Cornish for an opening statement on some of the dockets that we just listed, that we went on to list. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for moving these commissioner appointments forward. I'm Joe Cornish. I'm the Director of Design Review for the Boston Landmarks Commission, and we rely heavily on the work of volunteers throughout the city to serve on our 10 historic district commissions, as well as on the Boston Landmarks Commission. So we thank them all for their service to us. We have some great new faces coming onto our commissions and some reappointments of some really long-standing volunteers who have given great service to the city. So thank you. A pleasure being here. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much. Who was on the television? I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, I think we're going to go to these appointments in the ones that are here in person first. I'd like to turn to docket number 0111, also known as Jim Cutchin, is the first, who has been put forward to be on the St. Botolph Architectural Commission. And then I see that we have Nancy Russell 0110 virtually, so we'll hear from Jim Cutchin first. Do you want to make his mic close? So we'll give you 2 minutes to just talk about your interest in the appointment, and then I'll open it up to my colleagues to ask questions.
All right, so it's going to be a bit off the cuff because I didn't prepare. I wasn't sure what to prepare. So my name is Jim Cutchin. I live in St. Botolph, and I've lived there about 5 years or so at this point. In total, I've lived in the city for about 10 years total at this point, when my wife and I relocated from the suburbs about 10 years ago or so. By degree, I have both an undergraduate and a graduate degree in architecture from Washington University in St. Louis, and then from Syracuse University is my master's. And I practiced architecture for a short while, and then I totally changed courses, went into a business, but long story short, now I sell real estate in the city. So why is it important to me? I like the neighborhood. Historically, it's beautiful. It has a lot of charm to it, and I kind of looked at an opportunity to make sure that we preserve what's there and not let things get ruined like I've seen happen sometimes on my block a little bit. So I started talking with Lee Steele, who runs the neighborhood association, and found out about this opportunity. And I just thought it was kind of a natural fit based upon my background, my interests, what's important to me, and living in the neighborhood and intending to stay in the neighborhood kind of thing.
Thank you so much. And I know I'd like to defer to our first, and I know the St. Botolph neighborhood, I love it so much. I represent part of the Back Bay, but unfortunately not St. Botolph, so I'd like to go to my colleague, Councilor Flynn, if you have any questions, and then we'll go to my other colleagues who represent St. Botolph area.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Jim, for being here and for volunteering for this important position. St. Botolph is a wonderful neighborhood, proud to represent it. I know Councilor Durkin also has a lot of friends and contacts and does a lot of great work in that community as well. I don't necessarily have any questions. I just want to say thank you for being here, agreeing to be part of this commission, this board. Madam Chair, I do want to mention to you that I am leaving early for this meeting. I did go over the resumes of all of the candidates, and I will be voting in support of all of them. They're exceptional people, dedicated, hardworking, and I do want to acknowledge many of them are from my district, but I also want to acknowledge Jamie McNeil, who's going on the zoning commission that I will proudly support as well. So, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilor Flynn. Councilor Coletta Zapata.
Thank you, Chair. I just got the opportunity to meet you. My district does not encompass.
Uh-oh, here comes the tough one.
I know. I told you you're getting softballs today. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to reserve a bulk of my questions for folks that are going to be on the Zoning Board of Appeals, because that directly impacts my district. So thank you for your service. I know that this means that you're taking time away from your friends and family. So thank you to your service to the City of Boston and just your overall commitment to making our city better and brighter and more compliant with zoning. Appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you so much. Council President Rusi Louis-Jean.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here, Jim. I also promised you hard questions, so here they come.
Here they come.
No, but I just, we were talking also when we met earlier about how hard it is to sometimes get folks to serve on these commissions, because I don't think we appreciate, it's a time commitment. It's a time commitment to review and to figure out, whether or not to support a project and what more information you need to get. And so it is a way of serving our city and our community. So I want to thank you for signing up to do this. I'm sure that there will be some complex issues that will come up, and I, given a review of your background and your resume, believe that you'll be able to handle this. And that goes for members of the other commissions as well. Of course, I see Jamie here and others who are going to be members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, the different Fort Point Channel Landmark District Commissions, and I just want to thank everyone for all of their service. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. And I think I just have one question, because I've have a lot of very historic buildings in my district. Do you have a particular, because I have a lot of pet peeves, do you have any pet peeves in the district of things that are, are pet peeves that people either do without, support of the Architectural Commission, or just relevant to the ways in which, architecture interacts with the,
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's on again. No, went red.
It's on. When it's red, it's on.
Red, okay. It's a good question. I guess my biggest question, there's not a lot of it, is some signage that's not historically relevant in our neighborhood. And in my mind, what stands out the most is the 7-Eleven at the corner of St. Adolphe and West Newton. I think that's a good example of sort of what's not historically relevant to the neighborhood here. For that, that's the kind of stuff that kind of.
That's a
there
great
should be
answer.
better ways to do it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I particularly hate when something is too big in font and you're like, how did that get approved? It's just like bigger than all of the other fonts that we've let be on signage. So that's a really great answer. Well, I'm proud to support your moving you forward, and I hope my colleagues will support your when you go. Our next meeting's on August 28th, so you can look for that to see whether you've been approved by the council. But it sounds like there weren't any concerns with your nomination, and I'm proud to move you forward.
Thank
you.
Guys. Thanks for all for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So next we're going to go to, just because I want to go in terms of the types of folks that are here and like what they're being appointed for. So we're going to go to Nancy Russell and then Doug Miller, both for the St. Petolph. So Nancy, I think you're on Zoom.
I'm here.
Hi, Nancy. Would you like
Hi
to
there.
would you like to give like an opening statement about your interest in this role, and then we'll let my colleagues ask any necessary questions?
Sure. I may be the old timer, literally or figuratively, but I purchased on St. Petolph Street here at 145, the old schoolhouse building, back in 1991. So I've been here for 33 years. And I can tell you when I moved here, it was from traditional Back Bay, I call over on Commonwealth. And I thought this was the other side of the tracks, but an inspiring neighborhood that was going to grow to be fabulous, which it has. So I'm delighted to tell you that I'm very supportive of the neighborhood. Been here a long time, seen a lot of changes, a lot of growth. And I think we all want to kind of keep it to be the neighborhood that we love. So I would be more than happy to serve, and based on my experience, I come from a background in banking, corporate banking and management consulting, and have retired now the last couple of years. So I am very, very free of time these days and happy again to participate with you guys in any way that I can. We've had people who lived in this building who were on the committee over my many years here, and it's always a very important function that the commission plays in maintaining the neighborhood.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And I see that you've lived in the St. Petolph neighborhood for almost 32 years. So thank you so much for your commitment to the community and for staying here, and now for your for everything you're doing to support civically and get involved in maintaining the character of the neighborhood. That's incredible. And I know I'll just go to at-large Council President Ruthie Louisian. Do you have any comments?
I don't, but thank you for your willingness to serve, and I look forward to the work that you're going to do on behalf of the city. So thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I'm delighted to move this docket forward at the August 28th council meeting. So, so hopefully we'll get to see you, strutting your civic, your civic participation at this commission. We're so lucky to have you.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, next we're going to hear from Doug Miller, who's also on Zoom. And then we're going to go to Sherry Dong, who is also on Zoom. So, so Sherry, get ready. Doug, do you want to give an opening statement?
Yes, hi, my name's Doug Miller. My wife and I have lived on St. Botolph Street at a couple different addresses since 2007. I believe we're running on 17 years at this point. I also have a fond interest in architecture and history. Like Jim, I'm a real estate broker in the city, so I'm familiar with, what is historical and what people have messed up in the past. I believe I caught the attention of Lee Steele when my wife and I did our most recent renovation. We fixed a lot of errors to the building and brought it back to its historical character out of our own desire to do so. We appreciate that. We love the street. We have no intentions of moving anywhere. We want to keep it beautiful, and hopefully when the opportunity presents to fix some of the problems on the street, we can be helpful in that process.
Thank you so much, Doug. And I see that you've, in the summary of your resume, you've attended a lot of abutters meetings with genuine curiosity, which I think is the perfect, it means that, you've been involved in your community and cared about what happens for a long time. And I'm really honored to, having read your resume, to advance this nomination. Do you have anything else you want to let us know before we let you go?
No, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doug. Really appreciate your presence here.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Sherry Dong, who is being reappointed to the ZBA, or has been put forward to be reappointed to the ZBA. Sherry, do you have an opening statement? And nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, and thank you for allowing me to participate in Zoom. I have both a toddler at home and been nursing a cough cold for a few weeks, so thank you. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be considered for reappointment to the ZBA. As many may know, I've been civically engaged in the city of Boston for over 30 years, have resided in Boston for almost 30 years, first in JP, and then since COVID in Dorchester, and have worked in the city of Boston my entire adult life. So very connected with the city of Boston. First in state government, in the AG's office for the city of Boston, in neighborhood services, HR and BRA, now planning department, and for the past 20 years, over 20 years in healthcare in Tufts Medical Center. So very invested in the city of Boston. I've had the privilege to serve on the ZBA since 2021 and look forward to the opportunity to continue to do so should the council support my reappointment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherry. And obviously you have a very important role at the ZBA right now. Can you tell us a little more about what that experience has been like? And obviously, obviously as counselors, we're on a lot of meetings where things that are really, both of like great significance and and also of things that are a little bit less fraught are brought forward. Can you tell us a little bit more about like how you think about how you think about what the ZBA's role is and what that experience has been like being at the center of some of the most fraught situations that happen within neighborhoods and within street blocks and
Of course.
And also what the public input matter, how you guys consider public feedback and input.
Of course. I mean, I will only speak for myself because obviously there are when fully appointed, there are upwards of 14 members, and so I won't presume to speak for anyone else. But obviously, as a member and as chair, I seek to be fair, objective, to listen. As you mentioned, there's a lot of community input. I review everything that I can that comes in via email. Obviously, I'm balancing as chair, making sure people are heard, as well as making sure others are heard in the queue. And so, as you know, we have very full agendas, and so we do our best to balance the length of the agendas and the importance of each case. And so that is, I put my best foot forward.
Thank you so much. I'll turn to my my colleague, Councilor Coletta Zapata, for her questions.
Thank you, Chair, and Sherry, thank you for your commitment to the City of Boston. I believe you and I have already spoken during your first appointment in 2022, so you might know, or you were first appointed in 2021, but you were in front of the body in 2022, correct? In December?
Yes, 2021 was via Zoom during COVID when Mayor Wu was, I believe, chair of the committee, and then I came back before the body. Yes, I think it was 2022, or it might have been 2023.
Yep, it was December 12th, 2022, and the reason why I know that quite well is because I referenced that hearing a lot, and that is because in my district we have just wrapped up, not just, in recent months, wrapped up Plan East Boston and Plan Charlestown. And so I do have some questions for you because this body is very powerful, and you have the opportunity to define what neighborhoods look like moving forward. And just to put this into context, my team and I went through the data set of Analyze Boston, and we looked all the way back to 2013, and we found that there were 980 cases that have gone before the Zoning Board of Appeals seeking variances in East Boston, and 789 of them have been approved. So that's 80.5% of variances have been approved in East Boston since 2013. Since 2019, there have been 553 cases in East Boston, and 422 of them have been approved. And so just within the last 5 years, that's 76% of variances that have been approved in East Boston. And the reason why there was such a push in the community in both Charlestown and East Boston is because this was almost like death by 1,000 paper cuts. There were many different development proposals that were coming forward where 1- and 2-family houses were being raised, and there were no standards. The zoning was archaic. The last time we rewrote our zoning was in the early 2000s. And so developers were coming in and taking advantage of this. And yes, we do have a housing crisis, but there was no ceiling and there was no predictability for residents to understand what that ceiling was. And so we spent the last 5 years, both in East Boston and in Charlestown, defining what the neighborhood is going to look like together. We were in deep partnership with the community. I can't even tell you how many community meetings. I went to multiple phone conversations, meeting with the mayor, meeting with Arthur Jemison of the BPDA to set the standard and to make these rules that developers and builders would have to adhere to. And so we just did that work. We spent millions of city taxpayer dollars to define what the neighborhood should look like through Plan East Boston and Plan Charlestown. And since Plan East Boston has been approved by the BPDA board on March 14th, 2024, the ZBA has approved non-compliant cases in total. So they've approved 8 non-compliant cases of Plan East Boston. And to me, that just shows that Plan East Boston might as well have been a waste of time. We created these rules for a reason. And so I'm curious to understand exactly what you have learned from Plan East Boston, whether or not you intend to hold the line, and moving forward, what you will do to ensure that any proposal that's in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals will be compliant with these new rules that we set together.
Thank you for that question. I think when it comes to cases, I try to, I think the body does try to look at cases individually. However, we do seek to understand and appreciate the fuller context. And so Plan East Boston is one of those plans that we need to look more closely at, and we will be. So that is actually one of the that is actually a request that I've made to ensure that members of the ZBA have fuller understanding of that of the outcome of planning.
Really quick question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Have you been briefed on Plan East Boston at all by any member of any staff of the planning department or within ISD who oversees your role here?
Not in great detail, no. So
Can you further define that? What does that mean, not in great detail?
That is the request that I've made to ensure that all of us are fully apprised of Plan East Boston and its details.
Can you tell me when any sort of briefing had happened?
We have not been briefed as a body, no.
Okay, so it's been about 5 months since Plan East Boston was approved by the Zoning Commission, and you have yet to receive a briefing on what the standards are, what the front yard, rear yard, side yard setbacks are, what the parking minimum, maximums are, nothing.
Not in totality. We've heard them from case to case. So, I mean, for more details, I would certainly encourage conversation with now planning department as well.
Okay, through the chair, I'm just making that formal request that the ZBA be at least briefed and educated on the new rules that we wrote together through Plan East Boston, Plan Charlestown. I am appalled that you all have not even gotten a briefing on it. That is unacceptable. And it shows the community no longer trusts the Zoning Board of Appeals to work with them. They just spent 5 years creating this zoning, and there's already been variances to it. So I'm making a formal request of the administration to complete that briefing just to make sure that we are abiding by the rules that we wrote together. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Sherry, I know we've worked together very closely over the years in multiple capacities. And I have gotten to see you at work in the community, and I've gotten to see you on ZBA, which usually I send my staff to, but every once in a while I'm on myself. And I really appreciate your leadership, appreciate the time that you take, given everything. You know, it takes a lot to juggle being a community leader, being a civic leader. So I really appreciate your work. And am really delighted to move your nomination or reappointment nomination forward at the August 28th meeting. So look forward to continuing to get to work together, and grateful for all the work that you put in and all of the countless hours. And we're hoping today to get through a lot of the ZBA, because I know there has been an issue with just like everyone needing to show up to every single meeting. So looking forward to getting it to a place where quorum is never an issue. So thank you so much, Sherry. Really appreciate you being on.
Thank you, Chairwoman Durkin.
Okay, great. So we're going to move next to Shemaya Turner, who is a 0641. I do want to acknowledge that I think there was a typo in the initial letter that we received about Shemaya, and as we put, I'll make sure that that's corrected for the record at the council meeting. So Shemaya, do you want to give an opening statement?
Sure, thank you so much. My name is Shamia Turner, and I appreciate...
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I appreciate you allowing me to participate virtually. I do wish I was there in person. A little bit about me is I was raised in Boston. I grew up in the Adams Village neighborhood of Dorchester, attended Latin Academy. Throughout my time living in Boston, I've lived in Roxbury, and I now own a home in Hyde Park. I am a proud 13-year member of the Sheet Metal Workers Local 17 Union, and I now represent the members of that union by being the business development representative for them. I've had the opportunity to build all over the city, including the Seaport and downtown Boston and the West End. And I'm looking forward to sitting on the Zoning Board of Appeals because I think I bring a really unique perspective. I sit at the intersection of being a resident, a longtime resident of Boston, and also the workers of the city. I understand the needs of the community, and so I would seek to represent that voice on the Zoning Board of Appeals. yeah, I'm just really looking forward to serving my city, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Shamia. And I just want to acknowledge and read into the record, I know that you are the Building Trades Employers Association's nomination to the ZBA. And I know that a lot of our boards and commissions have that same setup where, you know, each, they're, you know, specific nominations for specific types of people, but I think labor's voice on the ZBA is an important one, and grateful that you are willing to step up and serve. Having reviewed the information that has been provided through both your resume and the mayor's letter, I appreciate how experienced you are. I appreciate your background. And the fact that you've worked on projects, some in my district, so I really appreciate that. Thank you for helping shape the built environment of our city. We really appreciate it. And thank you for being willing to step up and serve. Do you have anything else you'd like to share? And then Councilor Coletta Zapata, do you have any questions?
Yep. I would just like to share that this would be a monumental and historical appointment, especially over the last decade. The building trade unions have been working very hard to make sure that we're a more diverse membership body. And now some of us are stepping up into leadership positions. So this just speaks to how much further we can go, especially when there's representation, to show how different diversity of people in these unions can step up and use their voice. And so I also thank you for giving me that opportunity today. I carry that with me wherever I go. It's very important to me that more people of color, more women are able to have a voice in the city. And so that's the final thing I have to say.
Thank you so much, Shamia. I really appreciate your leadership, and thank you for being willing to step forward. I know I've seen you at some rallies and I've seen you in action, and I know it's really important that that we have folks stepping up who are really doing that work and have been a part of a lot of conversations. So thank you for being that leader, and thank you for being willing to be that person who's like breaking that barrier. We really appreciate it. And Councilor Coletta Zapata.
Thank you, Chair. Hello to my fellow Jabberwocky. Shout out to Latin Academy.
Hello.
Thank you for
Go
stepping
Dragons.
up. Shamia, you're getting appointed for the first time, is that correct?
That is true, yeah.
Okay, great. So I've already asked Sherry questions as it relates to variances and hardship standards. So it may seem like I'm asking you this question and not her, but I had asked her this question in 2022. So a lot has been talked about, and please understand, a lot of respect for you and your role in the building trades. This is our lever to ask these questions. We don't have any other opportunity to ask. I mean, we can in one-on-one conversations, but I really have to do my due diligence as a city councilor in respect for my community, which they ask me these questions every single time I see them about the Zoning Board of Appeals, so please just understand that. But there's been a lot that's been said about variance standards and hardship. When is it unnecessary? The zoning code should never be a major burden on smaller property owners. And so the opportunity to get a refusal letter through ISD, ask for a variance is important for those folks. And I never want to burden small property owners again. On the other hand, developers are there to make money. It is their bottom line. And so many of them are coming in as major players within the city. They have significant access to capital and wealth, and can complete their projects. And so when they're coming to the Zoning Board of Appeals, they're asking for a variance because of a hardship. And just to make sure that I put it on record, in order to obtain a variance and get a hardship, the applicant must show all of the following. Number one, a necessary hardship would result from the strict application of this ordinance. Number two, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property. And number three, the hardship is not a self-created hardship. And so my main question, given all of this, is do you believe that the financial hardship of a developer meets the standard for that hardship? Because you will be doling out these variances.
Yes. I think that there are a lot of things that will come into play. I was really happy to hear about the work that was being done in East Boston, so I look forward to learning more about that, those types of committees and outlines, like guidelines for how things should be built in the different neighborhoods around the city. If it were just down to a financial hardship, and it was not good for the community, I would probably lean against that. I mean, I live in the city of Boston, so I understand how these types of developments can impact residents, and so I would be very careful to just use finances as an opportunity to build. I think that there are probably a lot of different factors in that decision.
Thank you for that answer. And I guess I want to know from you too, how have you centered community voice? How can we trust that when you hear from the community, you will listen to them and apply not only your professional experience, but their lived experience as residents of that community? Have you already done that in your professional career, and how can we trust you to make these thoughtful, intentional decisions?
Sure, thank you for that question. The best example I have was about a year ago. There was a developer, I can't remember the name of the developer right now, that was trying to build on an urban wild in Hyde Park, and that was a huge concern for the community. It would have had a huge environmental impact, especially given that Hyde Park doesn't have very much green space, and the developer just wasn't committed to being ethical to the residents or workers for that project, and I spoke out very boldly against it. And there was a similar project, I believe, happening in East Boston last year that I spoke against as well. That was along with the input from the IAG groups in the area and the workers that I represent. And so that's just one example of how I've been able to listen to people and also use my platform to make sure that beneficial things are happening in the neighborhood.
Thank you. And just one last question, Chair. I referenced this with Sherry. We talked about the rezoning in East Boston and Charlestown, which is brand new, 2024, 5 months ago. If there's a project that is coming to you that is not compliant with the new rules that we wrote together, will you hold the line and vote against it?
Yes, like I said before, I look forward to digging into those rules, but I understand that it was put together by the community, and so wanting to make sure that I am being fair to the community voice, I will hold the line.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate, Shamaya, your leadership, and look forward to moving your nomination forward at the August 28th council meeting. So that's when you'll get an update on your approval. But thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you in action at the ZBA.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. So we have two folks who have come in person, so I'm going to shift to in person. First, Jamie McNeil, who is docket 1179, the Zoning Commission. So Jamie, you have up to 2 minutes to just talk about why this is important to you and why you want to serve.
Thank you so much, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jamie McNeil. I'm the General Agent for the Hospitality Workers Union, Local 26. Been with the union for about 20 years. You know, members of the committee know me as an advocate, but I do believe I have a pretty good track record of creating consensus, bringing people together, finding common grounds. You know, I grew up in a household. My mother was a union nurse. My father was a small business owner. Sitting at the dinner table, I listened and learned and heard them, always finding a way to meet in the middle and find that common ground. And on the same token, you know, my father worked every day of his life. You know, he's a proud veteran, and he always found time to give back to his community. So, you know, he would always tell me, to those who, I got to think about it now, to whom much is given, much is owed. And I think about that often.
How much is required?
Thank you. He might have butchered it, but I owe everything I have to my family, to my union, and to the city. And it means a great deal to me to be able to give back. When I walk around the city, it's like a photo album. You know, I think back to all the memories growing up here, and it's something I want to preserve, you know, those memories. But I also want to preserve the opportunities that my mother's family and my father's family had coming to this city. And, you know, that does mean creating good jobs and creating good housing. And so, yeah, that's my interest in the role, and I'm really honored to be here, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
And I'm sorry to give you a really hardball question,
Yeah.
but I'm in support of a zoning amendment to the Bullfinch Triangle to make residential an allowed use.
Yeah.
If that came before the zoning commission, would you vote in favor of it?
I would. I'm very
Right now, it's a conditional use, just for anyone listening.
Yeah, I'm very concerned that the Office to Housing, which is, I think, what the city needs right now more than anything, is going to turn into Office to Hotel, which, in my opinion, isn't very good economic development, very few jobs. It really doesn't meet the moment. We need housing. As a representative that talks to many workers, service workers, and hospitality workers here in the city, we need housing. And given the city and this body is bent over backwards to figure out how to create office to housing, it is mind-blowing to me that we would be doing office to hotel. It's not good economic development, and it doesn't meet the needs of the city right now. So I would be against that. I mean, I would be for adding housing to Bullfinch Triangle. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you so much. And I know there's a lot of other zoning questions that I could ask you, things that I support, things that I don't support, and changes that need to be made. But I think we can all agree that that there is work to be done, and there are things to dig into. And it's a very important role that you're up for, but I couldn't think of someone who is more qualified to do that job. And it was a bright spot when I saw your name come through the council agenda. I was like, this is a great pick. And it's nice when these names are familiar, and they're people that have been doing the work for years and years, even before I was here. So while I don't get to have all of the memories of walking around the city as a kid, I wish I had lived here as a kid. I really appreciate the perspective that you uniquely bring to this, and I'm really grateful. So grateful that you've been put forward, and excited to on August 28th to call this to a vote. And because I think among my colleagues you are well regarded, and they will agree with me, I'm sure. So I really appreciate that. Jamie and Councillor Coletta.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Jamie.
Hey,
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I will be voting in favor of your appointment to the Zoning Commission. I'll just echo everything that Councilor Durkin has said. Zoning is really, it impacts all facets of people's lives. And I think recently people have started to understand and educate themselves about how important any sort of zoning reform is, and how it will impact their quality of life. And so I know that you know that. I don't have to sell you on that. I don't think you need to sell me on that. I think for the public, just so we're clear, how do you see your role on the Zoning Commission moving forward, especially with initiatives like Squares and Streets? And is there anything that you can specifically talk about in terms of like what you'd like to see the city doing with our zoning code to make it more inclusive and equitable for everybody that lives here?
This might be controversial. I'm actually a big fan of Squares and Streets. My neighborhood was the first to go, Rosendale and Clary Square, depending on if you're from Hyde Park. I live in Hyde Park. If you're in Rosendale, I live in Rosendale. We had a number of meetings. I was, I feel like, inundated, whether it was a bus shelter and in terms of the outreach in the neighborhood. I also, as a resident, reached out to the BPDA on a couple, usage terms, and they listened. And I was really, I was really impressed with the amount of feedback I got. I do feel like at the end of the day, the the buckets we're creating now, the proof is going to be, where those buckets lay. I think it's, like, does S5 make sense for Maverick Square? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I have there's a home, I know I'm not going on the ZBA, but there's a home on a street nearby my house, and it got a variance, and it looks like a Hilton Garden Inn on a we're a street of capes, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. My father grew up on the next street over in a split house, but it's one family. You could put 4 families in this house, and it's one family. It's one contractor. I won't name the address, but that to me, through the usage and through the buckets that are being created now, I think those are the things that we can weed out, and that's why I think it's hard, right? Because we're defining what the buckets are now. The more important role is going to be where those buckets go, and so that's where I think the rubber meets the road.
Thank you for that answer. And just know that when we come in front of the Zoning Commission and we provide an opinion, it's a culmination of months, sometimes years of work on behalf of our office, on behalf of the counselors. And so just please, when we take the time to be there, and especially as it relates to a master plan or zoning reform or squares and streets, please understand that there's a lot of legwork that happened behind the scenes, and I know that you will be briefed, hopefully, on a lot of the things that are happening. You're already in it. You work on this professionally, but just to really consider where we're coming from and to work with us to meeting in the middle if it requires of us, if there's compromise necessary, if we're asking for that, because we have the pulse on the neighborhoods. We work with the residents, and we are also understanding how the buckets are being built, or like where the puzzle pieces are coming together as it relates to residential zoning or commercial or the uses or whatever. And I just ask that we have this continued partnership and you seriously consider it when we come up to the Zoning Commission. I know that I go up to the Zoning Commission quite a bit. I don't know about others, but just look forward to working with you in that capacity and look forward to confirming your appointment on August 28th.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you so much, Counselor. And I think I'm not going to quote who said this because it's a community leader, but I think I'm going to quote them a little bit wrong, so I don't want to. But they describe zoning as the gatekeeping of communities. It can make a community rich, it can make a community poor, it can make a community vibrant, or it can make a community dull. And so it's a really important role that that you're stepping into, and I really appreciate your leadership. Look forward to supporting your confirmation, hopefully on the August 28th meeting. So on docket 1179, you are relieved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Docket 0636, Paul Raber Ufendor. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that the second. Umfendor, is that it?
Umfenauer.
Umfenhauer. Okay, sorry.
No worries. Thank you.
Do you want to give an opening statement just about your interest in the Fort Point Channel Landmark District Commission?
Yes, thank you for having me. And I moved to Fort Point in 2011, and I live at Midway Artist Studios with my wife and our 2 children. And the community is a community that is full of creativity and ideas, and over the last decade, many of us have become involved in the Landmarks Commission really as attendees of the meetings. And I think my interest principally in the commission is in maintaining the character of the neighborhood. The buildings that are there are very unique. They were ubiquitous at the time they were built, but now they're really something that makes the neighborhood quite unusual and quite special. But there's also new ideas about the way that the neighborhood can feel in the coming years and in the future, and finding ways to balance the way in which development will occur in the neighborhood and the existing cultural fabric of the neighborhood is something that that I think is quite an exciting challenge.
And thank you so much for your for stepping forward to lead. I think in the 4-Point Channel, and obviously I don't represent the 4-Point Channel, but this is something Councilor Coletta Zapata has worked a lot on, is the environment and the waterfront. Just curious if you have any thoughts on what the city could be doing better to meet those potential environmental concerns, and what you see the district commission's role in that.
The challenge for a lot of the buildings that are the old Boston Wharf Company buildings is primarily in the groundwater and the groundwater infiltration, and making sure that those buildings can continue to survive.
And I am a trustee of that. So
you are?
Yes.
Fantastic. So that work is ongoing, and there are some funds available through the Community Preservation Act that can help to provide resources. I think particularly for a lot of the buildings that are owned by nonprofits in the neighborhood, having those resources available to be able to preserve the buildings and, of course, the character of those buildings concurrently is going to be vital in the coming decades as the city confronts climate change, particularly given their proximity to the waterfront.
And what do you think is special about, other than what you've already said, about the 4-Point area?
Well, I think what's wonderful about Fort Point is that it is first of all, for 4 decades or more, it's been the home to artists from all over the city who have lived there and worked there, and that's been fundamental to the way that it's grown and the way that it's developed, but also to its uniqueness, even relative to Seaport and the other areas that are directly surrounding it. So it gives it a very unique character that is in some ways separate and apart from the buildings, but a lot of that grew out of the utility that the buildings offered in the form of high ceilings and large open floor plates. And so for me, it feels like, how can we carry that evolution forward into the next coming years as the character of the neighborhood begins to be put under pressure by development. But I think that there's an opportunity for something quite special to emerge. So
It's really interesting, having been in some of those 4-Point lofts and also micro units. From loft to micro unit, there's a lot of diversity in the types of housing that is available in such a small area, but such a unique area. And so thank you so much for stepping forward to be part of this. We're so excited to have you, and look forward to putting your nomination forward at the August 28th meeting. Councilor Coletta, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And can you say your name for the record, just so I say it right?
Raber Umfenauer.
Raber Umfenauer. Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for all of your work on behalf of the city, too.
Of course. Thank you so much. And just in the nick of time, 0698, Kevin Reddy is here. You can sit here as well. Yeah. So, Kevin, do you want to say why you're interested in the role?
Sure. I have lived in the South End, actually on Waltham Street, for about 15 years. I've grown to love it. I plan to spend the next 15 years there. I enjoy the diversity of the South End. I was just at Festival Betance 2 weekends ago. I just saw a sign on Union Park that the Greek festival is happening in a few weeks. So, huge proponent of the South End, and interested in doing my part to protect the history of it.
You live in such a great location. I have been inside your building in someone else's unit, and I know it's a really beautiful area that you live in, and thank you so much for stepping forward. I did want to acknowledge that you actually were put on the green sheets before I was even the chair of this committee, and somehow it fell off, and then you're back on. So I appreciate you waiting all the time that you waited to be confirmed to this commission, and I think it just shows the fact that you're still interested shows your dedication to the role. Can you tell us a little more about why you're excited to serve in this particular role?
I've communicated with the mayor's staff that I've wanted to get more involved, generally speaking, and they asked me to take a look at, or advised me to take a look at some of the opportunities that were available, and one of them that was, I think the only one that I sent forward was the South End Landmarks Commission. I have watched or listened to many of the meetings since, as you mentioned, since I was put forward under previous council, and have followed it. And I'm a little bit of like a municipal government nerd, so it's been interesting to watch the meetings and learn about the process. And I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to work with, if approved, work with the sitting commissioners, learn from them, learn from city staff about the process and moving things forward.
Thank you so much for your interest. Thank you so much for stepping forward. I think it means a lot when people that, I think of myself. I was a regular person who hadn't attended a lot of meetings and had attended one abutters meeting before I was a city councilor. And it means a lot when people who care about their communities and aren't necessarily attached in a work capacity, but they're attached in like a love for the community type of way. And I think that perspective is really needed on a lot of these commissions. So really appreciate your leadership and you for stepping forward. Councilor Coletta, do you have any questions?
Just a comment. Hi, Kevin. It's so good to see you. We know each other from a former life, and so really excited to see you here. Thank you for your commitment to the city. It is important to have a perspective of folks who understand bureaucracy, and then also some of the political aspect of it too, and understanding why you were there to do a job and how to influence the built environment in any community. So the South End is lucky to have you. Wish we had you in East Boston and Charlestown and the North End, but South End Landmarks Commission is very lucky to have you, and just congratulations, and I look forward to voting yes on your appointment. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You are relieved
All right.
and really grateful that you were able to attend in person.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else online? Okay, so I'm going to read one letter into the record from Angela Ward Hyatt. Dear Joe, I am writing to express my interest in the Boston Landmarks Commission Highland Park Architectural Conservation District Commission. I moved to Washington Park neighborhood of Roxbury 6 years ago. I fell in love with my little historic house. I'm hoping I'd like the neighborhood as well, but was not prepared for my good fortune. Roxbury is truly a special place, not just for its architecture, but for its rich cultural legacy as well. It's a real neighborhood where people look out for one another. I feel connected to it already. Now that I'm settling into my role on the Boston Landmarks Commission, I like to bring what I'm learning here, as well as my 30 years of architectural experience, closer to home. If appointed, I will bring my design sensibilities to the HPACDC to ensure the standards and criteria are being followed. I regret that I'm unable to attend the Boston City Council's Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation on 8/12, as I will be traveling out of state all week. I have attached my resume for the committee's information. Thanks in advance for your consideration. Sincerely, Angela Ward Hyatt. I am planning to move this one forward, 0640, because Angela actually attended our last Planning Development and Transportation Committee hearing less than 6 months ago to go before the Landmarks Commission, and she was highly qualified for that and is highly qualified for the Highland Park Architectural Conservation District Commission. But I did want to give a chance to Joe Cornish to speak to her experience.
Yes, thank you. We're so delighted to have Angela Ward Hyatt as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission. She represents the Boston Society of Architects. She's an architect, and she also lives in Roxbury, not in the Highland Park District, but very close to the Highland Park District. So we're excited to have her experience as an architect and also as a local resident.
Thank you so much, Joe. And I did want to acknowledge that so I'm excited to move 0640 Angela Ward Hyatt forward to the August 28th council meeting. I did want to acknowledge that I don't see 0107 Peter Sanborn here from the being nominated for the South End Landmarks District Commission. So I may end up holding that one until the next hearing. And then Hansi Better-Baranza from the Zoning Board of Appeals, 0866. I think she was supposed to attend in person. I don't see her. She's a current member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals is at the limit, sort of like how the fewest members that they can have. So what I will do for 0866, I will speak with my council colleagues and see if her providing a written statement could suffice for the August 28th meeting. Oh, go ahead.
Chair, I'm just going to put on the record that I do think that this individual needs to be here and ask and answer questions that I have. And before anything moves forward, I want to hear from them directly. So if that were to happen, I would probably vote no on it, just to let you know.
Thank you, Counselor. If you were to submit the questions to the chair and she were to answer them in a written capacity, would that suffice for your vote?
Potentially. I think that no matter what with these ZBA appointments, I need more information. So I probably will be submitting some things via writing. And then I also know that we have 0864 and 0865 that we haven't heard from these individuals too. Do you intend to move those forward?
So yeah, sorry, you're stealing the thunder a little bit. So 0864, Allah Mukal, and then 0865, Carrie Walsh Logue, will not be moving forward. And both of them are going to withdraw their interest in those, one is moving and the other is not interested in being reappointed. So I'm sorry, I don't know which one is which, but so I'll be withdrawing those at the next council meeting.
Okay, so then it's...
Or sorry, the mayor will need to withdraw those, so I can't withdraw them, but essentially those will be withdrawn.
Okay, so the only document question is 0866, and this is Hansi Beta Barraza.
And 0107.
And 0107.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's- yeah.
Thank you so much.
So, yeah, I'm definitely not set on, I personally feel like the attention and, and the folks who are attending this and taking the effort to be here, it's really important to, I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, since we've started and since I've started as chair, like, every single person who's being reappointed or appointed has appeared before this committee. And I think on my end, I want to continue. It's an important role that the city council has to approve and to move forward with these dockets. Without more information, I won't move forward on 0866. And then hopefully if we need another hearing with either of these dockets, we'll move forward, but I will be checking with ZBA to see if it's to see what happened, because I know that they were planning to attend today's hearing. But with that, I appreciate this hearing and what we've been able to accomplish. Let me just see what I have to.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Are we moving to public testimony, and will we have an opportunity for closing remarks as well?
I don't believe anyone has signed up for public testimony. If you'd like to give a last statement, you can.
Yes, I would. Thank you so much in indulging me in this opportunity to ask these important questions for the Zoning Board of Appeals in particular. It literally has been death by 1,000 paper cuts. My community is at capacity. They are tired, they are frustrated, and there is severe distrust with the Zoning Board of Appeals in particular. And there needs to be a course correction, and there needs to be a building of trust, especially after we have done Plan East Boston. I'm also very disappointed to see that there's no full-time member that has been appointed or submitted to this body for consideration from East Boston, given that we have the most variances out of any neighborhood. We do have Dave Aiken, who is an alternate member, and he is incredibly competent and credible, and we appreciate his leadership. I do think he should be shifted from alternate to full-time. He's there, he's ready, he's willing. Granted, I don't want to speak for him, but I do think that he would be a great addition as a full-time member if he is able to. I have not had conversations with him, but generally I think I'm just saying out loud and on the record that I would like to see a member from East Boston on the Zoning Board of Appeals full-time, given that we have so many variances, the most variances out of any neighborhood. So thank you so much, and I appreciate, again, you allowing me to ask these questions and for indulging me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Coletta Zapata. So with that, I think we've heard from most dockets, so I'll just say out loud, I think I'm planning to move forward with 1179-0636 36, 0111, 0698, 0867, 0641, 0110, 0112, and 0640. And then on dockets 0866 and 0107, without additional information, those will stay in committee. And then on 0864 and 065, it looks like those are going to be withdrawn. So we don't have any public testimony, so we're going to move forward to adjourn. The hearing on dockets 0107, 0110, 0111, 0112, 0636, 0640, 0641, 0698, 0864, 0865, 0866, 0867, and 1179 is adjourned.